Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be sharing with you some book recommendations for the Medicis. So, what do you need to know about the Medicis? Just a quick rundown. The Medicis were kind of really at their prime, probably like the 15th and 16th centuries. They were an Italian family. They became bankers, like really wealthy bankers during the time period, and they were kind of primarily focused in Florence, Italy. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of the Medicis, a very, very wealthy Florentine banking family, kind of, like I said, at the prime in the 15th and 16th centuries, and they kind of didn't last very long. I was kind of doing some quick research when I was trying to figure out, some details with the Medicis, and they kind of, their line kind of died out by like the mid 1700s, something like that, which is kind of sad. But I mean, they produced some of the biggest names of the Italian Renaissance. They were big patrons of some of the biggest artists at the time, especially like Michelangelo, Botticelli, and Leonardo da Vinci, obviously. Big patrons of the arts and the sciences and literature and whatnot. And another big thing, they produced 4 popes, yeah guys, 4 popes. That's pretty impressive. And yeah, 2 queens I discovered. 4 popes and 2 queens. That was pretty awesome. For a family that kind of, their reign wasn't very long, they did some pretty remarkable things for the short amount of time that they kind of were around. So you guys, let's get into my historical fiction recommendations for the Medicis. I did manage to find 10 books. There's really not a heck of a lot of historical fiction on the Medicis, I discovered, unless I'm just not looking at the right stuff. There's a lot of nonfiction on them, but not a heck of a lot of historical fiction. So I managed to find 10 books that have something to do with the Medicis, whether they are actually characters in it or they kind of played minor roles. So yeah, let's get going. I'll be reading off of the Goodreads pages to help this video go a little quicker. So yeah, first up, The Birth of Venus by Sarah Dunant. Alexandra is not quite 15 when her father, a prosperous cloth merchant, brings a young painter back from northern Europe to decorate the chapel walls in the family's Florentine palazzo. A child of the Renaissance with a precocious mind and a talent for drawing, Alexandra is intoxicated by the painter's abilities. But their burgeoning relationship is interrupted when Alexandra's parents arrange her marriage to a wealthy, much older man. Meanwhile, Florence is changing, increasingly subject to the growing suppression imposed by the fundamentalist monk Savonarola, who is seizing religious and political control. Alexandra and her native city are caught between the Medici state, with its love of luxury, learning, and dazzling art, and the hellfire preaching and increasing violence of Savonarola's reactionary followers. Played out against this turbulent backdrop, Alexandra's married life is a misery, except for the surprising freedom it allows her to pursue her powerful attraction to the young painter and his art. Sounds awesome. Next up, Mona Lisa by Jean Calogridis. And you guys, I'm going to have quite a bit of Jean Calogridis in this list because her big thing, she's like the Philippa Gregory of Italian Renaissance, pretty much. So yeah, this book. Taking place in Florence, April 1478, the handsome Giuliano de' Medici is brutally assassinated in Florence's magnificent chapel. The shock of the murder ripples throughout the great city, from the most renowned artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo to a wealthy wool merchant and his extraordinarily beautiful daughter, Madonna Lisa. More than a decade later, Florence falls under the dark spell of the preacher Savonarola, a fanatic who burns paintings and books as easily as he sends men to their deaths. Lisa, now grown into a alluring woman, captures the heart of Giuliano's nephew and namesake, but when Giuliano, her love, meets a tragic end, Lisa must gather all her courage and cunning to untangle a sinister web of illicit love, treachery, and dangerous secrets that threatens her life. Ooh, sounds good. I guess this is going to be some sort of origin story to the Mona Lisa, you guys. Ooh. The Shepherdess of Siena by Linda Lafferty. Raised by her aunt and uncle amidst the rolling hills of the Tuscan countryside, young orphan Virginia has always harbored a deep love for horses, though she knows she may never have the chance to ride. As a shepherdess in 16th century Italy, Virginia's possibilities are doubly limited by her peasant class and her gender. Yet while she tends her flock, Virginia is captivated by the daring equestrian feats of the high-spirited Isabella de Medici, who rides with the strength and courage of any man, much to the horror of her brother, the tyrannical Grand Duke Francesco de Medici. Inspired, the young shepherdess keeps one dream close to her heart: to race in Siena's Palio. 26 years after Florence captured Siena, Virginia's defiance will rally the broken spirit of the people and threaten the pernicious reign of the Grand Duca. Bringing alive the rich history of one of Tuscany's most famed cities, this lush, captivating saga draws an illuminating portrait of one girl with an unbreakable spirit. Ooh, that sounds good. The Most Beautiful Woman in Florence, a story of Botticelli. A girl as beautiful as Simonetta never wants for marriage proposals in 15th century Italy, but she jumps at a chance to marry Marco Vespucci. Marco is young, handsome, and well educated, not to mention he is one of the most powerful Medici family's favorite circle. Even before her marriage with Marco is set, Simonetta is swept up into Lorenzo and Giuliano de Medici's glittering circle of politicians, poets, artists, and philosophers. The men of Florence, most notably the rakish Giuliano de Medici, become enthralled with her beauty. That she is educated and an ardent reader of poetry makes her more desirable and fashionable still, but it's her acquaintance with a young painter, Sandro Botticelli, which strikes her heart most. Botticelli immediately invites Simonetta, newly proclaimed the most beautiful woman in Florence, to pose for him. As Simonetta learns to navigate her marriage, her place in Florentine society, and the politics of beauty and desire, she and Botticelli develop a passionate intimacy, one that leads to her immortalization in his masterpiece, The Birth of Venus. Ooh, sounds good, you guys. Next up, Orphan of Florence, another book by Jean Calogridis, you guys. Julia has been an orphan all her life, raised in Florence's famous some sort of place. I can't pronounce this. I'm not going to attempt to because I'm not Italian. She's been raised in some sort of place. Her probing questions and insubordinate behavior made her an unwelcome presence, and at the age of 15 she was given an awful choice: become a nun or be married off to a man she didn't love. She chose neither, and after refusing an elderly suitor, Julia escaped onto the streets of Florence. Now, after spending 2 years as a successful pickpocket, an old man catches her about to make off with his purse, and rather than having her carted off to prison, he offers her a business proposition. The man claims to be a Kabbalist, or a Kabbalist. Wait, is it Kabbalist, I think. A student of Jewish mysticism and ritual magic, who works for the most powerful families in Florence, but his identity is secret. He is known only as the Magician of Florence, and he is in need of an assistant. She accepts the job and begins smuggling his talismans throughout the city. But the talismans are not what they seem, and neither is the magician. When Julia's involvement with him ends with his murder, she's drawn into a treacherous web of espionage and deceit involving the forces of Rome, Naples, and a man known as Lorenzo the Magnificent. Accused of the magician's murder, Julia is pursued by the handsome policeman Niccolo. Is that going to be Machiavelli, you guys? I have a feeling it's going to be Machiavelli. Lorenzo's henchmen and foreign spies, and in order to survive, she must not only solve the mystery of the magician's murder, but that of her own past. Sounds epic, you guys. Next up, this is actually a two-part series, so I'm going to give you both books in this series. Book number 1, The House of Medici, Inheritance of Power by Edward Charles. Ever loyal, Madalena, she has borne Cosimo de' Medici a son, and has seen him rise to the position of cardinal. Now, late in life, she finds herself committed to a convent as part of a scheme to protect the Medici Bank from ruin by Cosimo's sons, by hiding a fortune in gold for Cosimo's grandson, Lorenzo, to inherit. But as the months go by and the gold does not appear, her faith in Cosimo begins to wane, and with it her confidence in her own worth. Has she been duped? Approaching old age, she finds in the abbess a confessor, which enables her to share her true story and perhaps at the same time convince herself that her life has been worthwhile. But the abbess too has objectives of her own, and the two of them may not be on the same side. Okay, so yeah, that sounds great. Even though this is a two-part book series, I don't have this first book, but I do own this second book. I just recently purchased this book. This is The House of Medici, Seeds of Decline, also by Edward Charles. Italian noblewoman Lucrezia is determined to see her son Lorenzo the Magnificent take his rightful place as savior to the Medici legacy. For years, she has groomed Lorenzo to be a great prince, but while she taught him everything he needed to know about leading a great Italian family, there was a terrible cost. The Medici Bank, whose wealth has funded the city and Republic of Florence for centuries, is faltering. The money is running out, and the burdens of greatness are becoming more onerous for her son. Lucrezia begins to question whether she has led him astray, but in the closed society of Florence there is no one she can confide in. Then, while on a journey away from the city, she is approached by a young priest new to town and asking for guidance about the workings of Florentine society. What begins as a simple conversation quickly evolves into confession for Lucrezia. In revealing the secrets of her family to this benign outsider, she is able to unburden herself. But this man is not the simple monk he appears. In his hands, Lorenzo's future and the Medici legacy may crumble and fall unless Lucrezia can stop him from taking everything she holds dear. That sounds epic. I think I keep saying that about all the books, you guys. Next up, also another book by Jean Calogridis. This is The Devil's Queen, a novel of Catherine de Medici. I need to find this book, you guys. Seriously, I need to find this book. Especially if you love the TV show Reign, you guys. If you love the TV show Reign, this is the book for you. Confidant of Nostradamus, scheming mother-in-law to Mary, Queen of Scots, and architect of the bloody Saint Bartholomew Day massacre, Catherine de' Medici is one of the most maligned monarchs in history. Born into one of Florence's most powerful families, Catherine was soon left a fabulously rich heiress by the early deaths of her parents. Violent conflict rent the city-state, and she found herself in prison and threatened by her family's enemies before finally being released and married off to the handsome Prince Henry of France. Overshadowed by her husband's mistress, the gorgeous, conniving Diane de Poitiers, and unable to bear children, Catherine resorted to the dark arts of sorcery to win Henry's love and enhance her fertility, for which she would pay a price. Against the lavish and decadent backdrop of the French court and Catherine's blood-soaked visions of the future, Calogridis reveals the great love and desire Catherine bore her husband, Henry, and her stark determination to keep her sons on the throne. Yes, that sounds great. And then this is another book, sort of about Catherine de' Medici, but I think, yeah, focusing on her daughter, it sounds like. So yeah, this is Medici's Daughter, a novel of Marguerite de Valois by Sophie Perrenot. Taking place in winter of 1564, beautiful young Princess Margot is summoned to the court of France, where nothing is what it seems, and a wrong word can lead to ruin. Known across Europe as Madame la Serpentine, Margot's intimidating mother, Catherine de' Medici, is a powerful force in a country devastated by religious war. Among the crafty nobility of the royal court, Margot learns the intriguing and unspoken rules she must live by to please her poisonous family. Eager to be an obedient daughter, Margot accepts her role as a marriage pawn, even as she is charmed by the powerful, charismatic Duc de Guise. Though Margot's heart belongs to Guise, her hand will be offered to Henry of Navarre, a Huguenot leader and a notorious heretic, looking to seal a tenuous truce. But the promised peace is a mirage. Her mother's schemes are endless, and her brothers plot vengeance in the streets of Paris. When Margot's wedding dissolves into the bloodshed of the Saint Bartholomew's Day massacre, she will be forced to choose between her family and her soul. Yes, I gotta get my hands on this too, you guys. This sounds awesome. And last up, another book with Catherine de' Medici. This is The Confessions of Catherine de' Medici by C.W. Gortner. The last legitimate descendant of the illustrious Medici line, Catherine suffers the expulsion of her family from her native Florence and narrowly escapes death at the hands of an enraged mob. While still a teenager, she is betrothed to Henry, son of Francois I of France, and sent from Italy to an unfamiliar realm where she is overshadowed and humiliated by her husband's lifelong mistress. Ever resilient, Catherine strives to create a role for herself through her patronage of the famous clairvoyant Nostradamus and her own innate gift as a seer. But in her 40th year, Catherine is widowed, left alone with 6 young children as regent of a kingdom torn apart by religious discord and the ambitions of her treacherous nobility. Relying on her tenacity, wit, and uncanny gift for compromise, Catherine seizes power, intent on securing the throne for her sons. She allies herself with the enigmatic Protestant leader, Coligny, with, I'm not sure how that one's pronounced, with whom she shares an ultimate secret, and implacably carves a path toward peace, unaware that her own dark fate looms before her, a fate that, if she is to save France, will demand the sacrifice of her ideals, her reputation, and the passion of her embattled heart. Ooh, sounds lovely. I love Catherine de Medici, you guys. She's just such a fascinating, intriguing woman. So, you guys, that is it for this month's Historical Fiction 101, dedicated to all things the Medicis. I've really been getting a greater appreciation for the Medicis recently. I think thanks in part primarily to the TV series, The Medicis. So yeah, I definitely recommend these books if you do love the Medici's TV series, which ran for 3 seasons. Those seasons were just remarkably amazing and stunning, you guys. I loved it. And then yeah, if you like the TV show Reign, like I mentioned earlier, because Catherine de Medici is a huge character in that show, even though it's primarily about Mary Queen of Scots, Catherine de Medici is a very big, huge a player in that, because she was pretty insane, pretty crazy. I loved her. So yeah, you guys, any books that I have left out, because I'm not sure if there's more out there, if you know any other good books, historical fiction books, definitely leave those down below so I can go check them out. So you guys, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.